Welcome to session 3 of unit 1 in learning the course Design and Analysis of Algorithms. In our previous sessions, we learned about what is algorithm, what are the properties of algorithm, and how to specify algorithm in pseudocode specification. Now, in our today's session, in this session, we are going to discuss about performance analysis. How to analyze the performance of an algorithm. Here, the main objectives of this session are to learn the types of performance analysis, to know how to analyze the performance of an algorithm. The learning outcomes of this session are, by listening this session, one can understand the process of analyzing algorithms, time and space complexities, and also able to analyze an algorithm in priori analysis process. The topics that we are going to discuss in this session are types of performance analysis, space complexity, and time complexity. Let us see this video clip which gives how to represent the algorithm into why we need to analyze the algorithm. What do you understand from that video clip? Here we are given an algorithm. That algorithm is betterly specified by using pseudocode. This pseudocode should be converted into source code for implementing it in your computer system. Here, to know the performance of that particular source code, you should analyze its time and space. What time it takes to execute and what space it occupies to execute. You need to analyze these two factors, which gives your performance analysis. Now let us see the concepts. Here, performance analysis can be done in two ways. One is posterior analysis and the other is priori analysis. Performance analysis can be done in two ways. One is posterior analysis and other is priori analysis. What is posterior analysis? What is priori analysis? Coming to posterior analysis, the posterior analysis is done after converting the algorithm into source code. The posterior analysis is done after converting the algorithm into source code. That is, we have the pseudocode. We converted that pseudocode into source code. After converting the pseudocode into source code, we are going to analyze that source code. That is to be called as posterior analysis. This is a machine-dependent process. That is, we are implementing the source code in a computer system. By that computer, we are analyzing how much time it takes and how much space it occupies. So like that, after converting the pseudocode into source code, since we are analyzing its performance, this analysis is called as posterior after converting. So, and it is a machine dependent process. And coming to priori analysis, from the name itself it is clear that before converting the algorithm into source code, we are analyzing the algorithm's performance. Before converting the algorithm into source code, we are analyzing the performance of an algorithm, which is called as priori analysis. This priori analysis can be done manually and it is a machine independent process. The priori analysis is a machine independent process. In entire of our subject, we are following the priori analysis, not the posteriori analysis. What is priori analysis? Before converting the algorithm or pseudocode into source code, we are analyzing the performance of that particular algorithm manually. That is, by using pen and paper, we are analyzing the performance. which is called as priori analysis, what we are following in our course. Now let us see what the factors that we need to consider to analyze the performance of an algorithm. Here we are considering two factors. One is space complexity and other is time complexity. We are considering two factors to analyze the performance of an algorithm. One is space complexity and other is time complexity. What is space complexity? The space complexity of an algorithm is the amount of space it needs to run. The space complexity of an algorithm is amount of space it needs to run. The time complexity of an algorithm is amount of computer time it needs to run. The amount of computer time it needs to run. So these two definitions are given in terms of posterior analysis. In case of priori analysis also, what the space it requires to store various variables and what the time it needs to analyze that particular algorithm manually. So those two are the space complexity and time complexity in case of performance analysis. If you are following the priori analysis, the space is not a problem for us. If we completed one paper, we can get another paper and we can continue the process. The space is not a major problem for us if you are doing the performance analysis manually. But the time is a very crucial one. So which time it takes, how much time it takes to analyze that particular algorithm, we need to calculate that time. That gives its performance. Anyway, so whatever it may be, whether we are using the space complexity in priori analysis or not, but we are going to see both space complexity and time complexity in priori analysis. How we are going to calculate space complexity and time complexity for a particular algorithm by taking examples. Let us see the space complexity. Here, what is space complexity? Space need by any algorithm to execute or to implement. Now, the space complexity can be represented as the sum of two components. One component is fixed component and other component is variable component. The space complexity of an algorithm can be represented as sum of two components. One is fixed component and other is variable component. What is fixed component and what is variable component? What is a fixed component? What is a variable component? Let us see. What is fixed component? The fixed component is nothing but the space required for instructions, the space required for simple variables, the space required for fixed size component variables, the space required for constants. Here you can see what is fixed component, the space required for instructions, the space required for simple variables, the space required for fixed size component variables, and the space required for constants. The space required for all these things can be represented by using a fixed component. Now you can observe that instruction space. Suppose if your algorithm contains some 100 statements, it occupies that much of space, either one page or two pages. Coming to simple variables, the variables what we are using in our algorithm, simple variables such as x, y, a, b, sum, total, etc. Now, fixed size component variables. What are the fixed size component variables? Suppose for example, I have taken an array whose size I given as 10. I have taken an array. Here that array is a component variable. Here array is not a simple variable such as x, y. Array is a component variable. Now here I given the size of that array as 10. If each element takes 2 bytes of space, means 10 elements it takes 20 bytes of space. That is, that array occupies a fixed amount of space which is nothing but 20 bytes. So whatever it may be the data that you stored in that array, it takes a fixed amount of space which is nothing but 20 bytes. Right. Next, constants. What the constants that you used in the algorithm, such as 1, 2, 3, 4, like that you can use many constants. So the space required for those constants. Here all these the space required for all these various things is to be called as a fixed component. Coming to variable component, what is variable component? The size required for or the space required for variable sized component variables, referenced variables, stack space, and the space required for various data structures. What is variable component? The space required for variable sized component variables, the space required for the space required for referenced variables, the space required for stack, and space required for various data structures. You can observe here what is variable sized component variable. We seen fixed sized component variable in our previous fixed component. That is nothing but a of 10 I taken. What is variable sized component variable? Here I given A is an array whose size I given as n. A is an array whose size I given as n. If n is equal to 10, A takes 20 bytes of space. If n is equal to 20, A takes 40 bytes of space. So, A size is decided, A's space is decided by n here. A is not having a fixed space here. Its size is variable, which is nothing but n. If n takes 1, it takes only 2 bytes. If n takes 10, it takes 20 bytes of space. So, the size or the space required by that A is decided by the variable n. Right. Next, referenced variables are nothing but the pointer variables what we are using. We are using various pointer variables. What the pointer variables that we are using, the space required for those pointer variables is nothing but referenced variables, and stack space which is used for internal processing. If you want to store some intermediate results, we are going to use the stack space. So here the space for that stack, and also the space required for various data structures what we are using in our pseudocode, such as heap, trees, graphs, linked lists, etc. Here I hope that you understand both the components, fixed component and variable component. Now the total space required, space complexity of an algorithm A can be represented as fixed components of A plus variable components of A. The space complexity of A can be represented as fixed components of A plus variable components of A. Now I am going to explain this space complexity by taking a small example. Let us see the example. Here I taken an example algorithm which is nothing but the name of algorithm is sum, which takes two parameters, number and size. This is used to find the sum of elements which are present in the array named number. Here number is an array which contains some number of elements. The sum of those elements can be found by using this algorithm. Now what about the fixed components and variable components in this algorithm? Let us see here. First, fixed components. Here I used a simple variable result. I used a simple variable count. I used a simple variable size. Here I used three simple variables. So, if you assume that each variable occupies one word of space, these three variables occupies 3 words of space. These three variables occupies 3 words of space. Now here I used the constants 0, 1, etc. These also occupy some small space which is to be considered as a fixed space. Okay. Now I did not use here any fixed size component variables. I did not use any fixed size component variables. So here the fixed component becomes some 3 plus the size for constants. 3 plus size for constants, which is to be considered as a constant. Which is to be considered as a constant. Next, coming to variable components. Here I taken an array which is nothing but number. What about the size of that array? What about the size of that array? Here, this array size is given by count. What about the value of count? Here, the count varies from 1 to size. Count varies from 1 to size. That is initially number of 1, number of 2, number of 3, so on, number of size. That is, the size of the array number is given by the variable size. The space required for array number is given by the variable size. So, it is a variable sized component variable. If size takes, suppose I represented size is equal to n. In this case, the array size is n. The array size becomes n. So finally, the total space complexity can be represented as space of sum is equal to, this is fixed part or fixed component, which is nothing but a constant, and this is variable component, which is nothing but n. So the total space complexity of this algorithm is some constant value plus n. Now let us see the time complexity. How to represent the time complexity? The time complexity can be expressed as the combination of two parts. One is compile time and other is runtime. Compile time and runtime. I hope you all understood what is compile time. Compile time is nothing but the time required to compile a particular program, to translate that particular program into machine code. That is to be called as compile time. So here for a fixed program, the compile time is a constant value. But coming to runtime, the runtime we are going to represent with a term TP. It always depends upon instance characteristics. Here, the compile time is a constant value, but runtime is depending upon instance characteristics. What are the instance characteristics? Here, instance characteristics means various operations that what we are using in our algorithm. In our algorithm, we may use addition, we may use multiplication, we may use division. Each has its own time to execute. So the time required for those operations. And also we are using various kinds of statements in our algorithm. In some algorithms we are using conditional statements, in some algorithms we are using looping statements, etc. How many times that particular algorithm executes if we represent those looping statements in our algorithm. So we need to calculate these two times to get the runtime for a particular algorithm. What are the two times that we need to calculate to obtain the runtime? The time required to perform for the operations and the time required to execute various statements that we are representing in our algorithm. Now let us see the time required for operations. How to calculate the time required for operations? Here TP of operations, that is runtime of operations, is equal to A into add, S into subtraction plus so on. Suppose for example, your algorithm contains addition operation, subtraction operation. That I represented the TP of OP as like this. Now what these functions indicates? The function add indicates the time required for one addition. Add indicates the time required for one addition. Here the constant A indicates how many number of additions are there in that particular algorithm. If the time required for one addition is 1 unit, if that particular algorithm contains 4 additions, then what is the time required for addition operation? 4 into 1, which is nothing but 4. In the same way, the function subtraction represents the time required for one subtraction. The constant S indicates number of subtractions in that particular algorithm. Like that we can represent any operations. Suppose if you have multiplication, M into MUL. MUL is a function which is used to represent the time required for one multiplication. How many number of that multiplications are there in your algorithm? M number of multiplications are there. what the operations are present in your algorithm. Based on those operations, you are going to calculate the runtime for operations. The second one, the number of steps that an algorithm executes. For seeing, the algorithm may contain 3 or 4 steps, but if you used looping statements or conditional statements, the number of steps that it executes may vary. For finding the number of steps that an algorithm executes, we are going to use a variable named step count. Now I am going to explain how to use this step count to find the number of steps that an algorithm executes. Let us see the example. Here I taken the same algorithm, which is nothing but the sum which finds the sum of elements which are present in the array A. Here A is an array and n is number of elements in that array. This algorithm is used to find the sum of elements which are present in that particular array. Here I used the step count after each and every step of this algorithm. First let us see, here the first step in the algorithm is s is equal to 0.0. I initialized the sum s with 0.0. That is, it indicates one step is executed. So since one step is executed, I incremented count value. Initially I taken the count value as 0. Initially I taken the count value as 0. After this step, the count is incremented, it becomes 1. The count is incremented, it becomes 1. After that, for I is equal to 1 to n, do. Here I incremented again the count. Here I incremented again the count. This count incrementation indicates opening of for loop. This count incrementation indicates opening of for loop. How many times here the count value is incremented? How many times for loop opens? How many times for loop opens? The for loop opens for n times. For I is equal to 1, for loop opens and statements are executed. Then for I is equal to 2, for loop opens and the statements are executed. And for I is equal to 3, for loop opens and the statements are executed. Like that, the for loop opens for n times. So the counting is incremented for n times. So what becomes the count value? Initially the count value is 1. Since here the count is incremented for n times, the count value here becomes 1 plus n. Now after that, the next statement is s is equal to s plus a of I, which finds the sum of elements. Now after this statement, again I incremented count value. This incrementation indicates how many times this statement executes. How many times that particular statements execute? It also executes for n times, since it is present within the loop. Since for loop opens for n times, this statement also executes for n times. So how many times count incremented? N times the count is incremented. Now priorly the count value is 1 plus n. Now it is incremented for n times. So finally the count value becomes 2n plus 1. Now here for loop closed. Now I incremented the count value. This incrementation indicates closing of for loops. How many times for loop closes? How many times for loop closes? It closes only one time. After n, the value of I after n, the for loop closes. So here the count value incremented for 1. Initially the count value is 2n plus 1, which becomes 2n plus 2. Now return s. I returned the sum value found, and here I incremented count 1, which indicates the execution of this particular statements. How many times the value s is returned? Only one time. So here count is incremented for 1. Priorly the count value is 2n plus 2, and here one time it is executed. Totally the count becomes 2n plus 3. So for seeing, this algorithm contains 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. This algorithm contains only 4 steps. But for execution, it executed as 2n plus 3 steps. How many steps that this algorithm executes? 2n plus 3 steps. Then what becomes the time complexity of this algorithm? A constant, which is nothing but for the representation of compile time. Now operations, here I represent the time required for operations also a constant 1, and step count, here the time required for executing the number of steps in that algorithm is 2n plus 3. So finally we can represent the time complexity for this algorithm as big O of n. Big O of n. I hope you all understood the performance analysis, how to analyze the performance of an algorithm. I'm going to summarize the concepts what we explained in this session. In this session, we explained about types of performance analysis and the two factors which are used to analyze the performance of an algorithm, which are nothing but space complexity and time complexity. Here there are two types of performance analysis. One is posteriori analysis and other is priori analysis. Here in our course we are following priori analysis, and to analyze the performance of an algorithm in priori analysis we are using two factors. One factor is space complexity and other factor is time complexity. Here we explained how to calculate the space complexity and how to find the time complexity of a particular algorithm by using an example. To assess yourself, I given some questions. Let us see these questions and answer those questions. The first question is, which of the following statement is correct related to performance analysis? Option A, priori analysis is machine independent. Option B, posteriori analysis is machine dependent. Option C, priori analysis is machine dependent, and option D, posteriori analysis is machine independent. The next question is, the space complexity of an algorithm can be expressed as option A, fixed part plus variable part. Option B, only fixed part. Option C, only variable part. Option D, none of the above. The next question is, the time complexity of an algorithm can be expressed as option A, compile time plus runtime. Option B, only compile time. Option C, only runtime. And option D, none of the above. Now find the number of steps executed in the following algorithm using step count method. Here I given an algorithm. This algorithm consists of 4 steps. Find the number of steps that are executed in implementing this particular algorithm using step count method. Now share answers through the given mail. In preparation of this presentation, I used the digital content from various public domains. This presentation is used only for educational purposes, not for any commercial purposes. Thank you for listening the session.